So let me ask you a question, Dawn.
Yeah.
In a recent conversation we were having, you were sharing the story about somebody who's going to do some earth healing. And you were, in our conversation, getting very feisty and passionate about your response to that. So I'm just wondering if there's something you want to share about your experience about healing the earth.
Oh, healing the earth. Yeah. When I hear people say that they're going to go out and, do some healing ceremony on the earth, or, do some kind of, it's not even a rain dance, but it's sort of like, like infusing the energy or the earth with some energy that it doesn't already have. It just angers me, because I just know that the earth just does not need our healing. It doesn't need our energy put into the earth, that's for sure. And from the work that I've done with self-appreciation, I just know that I can just almost hear the earth itself saying, I am a birther. I'm self-healing. I'm a nurturer. I give you life. You don't give me life. Like, and all I want, just like a mother, like, all I want is for you to appreciate me. Like, all I want is for you to appreciate the fact that the food you eat, I gave you. The life you have, I gave you. The air you breathe is because of me. And can you just appreciate, like, the endless gifts that I'm constantly giving, instead of feeling that if for a moment in time I'm barren, that it takes away from my value. I'm thinking there are a lot of people who are concerned about the rainforest right now being on fire, and wanting to go up and do something about it. And I think of Mother Earth like a mother. And sometimes there's just a time where we are, when, we don't want to bear fruit, like, I just need a break. I don't want to bear fruit. So, and if somebody, I could just think of this, if somebody were to tell me I needed to produce fruit in order for me to be a valuable mother, that would, and there's men out there who would love that. If it were up to my husband, we'd have 9 kids, maybe more. He just is like, I just want to do that. Anyway, so that whole idea that we need to give the earth anything other than our deep appreciation, it just seems so crazy to me. And I know that would rub up against a lot of people's beliefs. It does make me sad when I think of the rainforest being on fire, but I don't think of it like it's the end of the world. I think the earth is somehow, processing or rejuvenating in a way that it needs to. It's resting in a different way, or, it is, and can I appreciate the earth for all the other ways that it gives me air to breathe, not just focus on the one way that it's not.
So this is really brilliant. And so I want to ask you a question. Could you give me an example of like a rampage of appreciation of the earth?
Well, yeah, I think I was like getting on it, like just so a rampage of appreciation of the earth would just be being mindful of any time, well, like in this moment, everything that I need right now originally came from the earth. So the air I breathe for sure came from the earth. The water I drink, which I need, came from the earth. They say we only need 3 things: air, water, shelter, and clothing. All of those things came from the earth. Cotton is grown on the earth. So, just starting with that. And then I think, there's this chair underneath me. Like, I so appreciate the earth for being a part of that, a part of that giving energy that's abundant and can create wood that would be eventually made into this chair that I'm sitting on, or the cushion that I'm sitting on that makes it even more comfortable. That the cotton that came from the earth that gave me the opportunity to sit on this chair, and that kind of appreciation, like, for everything. And we think, well, not just we, but lots of people will think, well, people are raping the planet by mass producing things. And the point is, can we just appreciate that the planet is a giving force? Like, it just gives. So I appreciate the air I breathe and how the wind blows and gives me beautiful little hints of different fragrances that are in the air. I was driving home today and I could smell a skunk, which is not usual for this time of the year, but I smelled a skunk, or for the daytime either, because they're nocturnal. But I had that skunk smell, and I was like, there's something, and the wind brought that to my nose, and the earth supports the skunk. That whole, just appreciating all the variety of scents and smells and animals and insects and human life and diversity that's on this planet, that the planet just gives, and it doesn't care what race we are. I love that part too, because it doesn't care if we're woman or man, it's going to give the same. It doesn't care if we are we're bad or we're good. It just keeps giving. And I think that's really amazing. I mean, it's
That is
truly amazing.
So thank you for this. I really appreciate your perspective on this. It's enlightening to me to be looking at the earth as nurturing and giving no matter what. And there's always more.
And there's always more, always.
Even if we're using up the earth's resources, there are still more resources.
And there always will be. And I know that's kind of hard to believe, but because of the nature of the planet, and so my belief is, if you shift your perspective into appreciating that it is this endless supply of resources, that you would always treat it well. Like, you would not have, you wouldn't be somebody who has become somebody who just throws away everything and who's not mindful of the landfills, or who's, just careless. Because if you really appreciate the earth, and you really appreciate that it is an abundant, constantly giving, regenerating life, it's this nurturing essence, that you would never do things to hurt it. You would appreciate it, you would care for it, you would, even if you weren't the one to do it, you would have somebody else do it for you. Like, I don't like yard work, so we'd have somebody else pull the weeds, and maybe the weeds aren't the thing that needs to be pulled, but we would be more in touch with and more in tune with, in our personal little environments, what we can do, and we would do those things, as opposed to watching the fight between the two sides and deciding that one side's crazy and the other side's one side's right and one side's wrong, and then taking sides, and everybody's missing the whole boat, that this earth is abundant, and literally it's never going to stop giving. When one body of water stops flowing, that it flows somewhere else, and there might be a drought somewhere, flood somewhere else. I mean, it's always in balance, and we just don't, we don't have the perspective to see that. And I think that's amazing too. Like, that it's such an amazing life-giving entity, the earth. And I would not say that I that I don't think that the earth needs anything from us. I just think it needs our appreciation so it can do what it does the best. I think it's hurtful, like um, if you've ever nurtured another human or been a mom or had clients or that you were taking care of, and if they didn't appreciate you, I mean, you're giving your everything to them and they didn't appreciate you, eventually it just becomes a really bad relationship. I mean, there's no substance to it. And you get maybe, I mean, I can't imagine the earth being resentful, but
Yeah.
as somebody who's giving and giving, all you ever want is just to be appreciated. You don't want somebody to say, you know what, there's something wrong with you. You need healing. Why are you
Right.
giving so much? Or why did you stop giving? Um, I know that I'm kind of like rambling, and I also know that there's just there's so many different opinions about, the planet and global warming and all that. And I just have this deep belief that if we started appreciating the planet instead of trying to heal it, trying to fix it, or trying to fix other people so they did do different things to the planet, like we'd have a much better, uh, much more clarity of what really needs to be done. I think people are just talking, creating, they're acting emotionally instead of just giving, from their heart and appreciating what we have.
And one of the things that Abraham talks about is whatever you focus on and you're pushing against it, it's still in your vibration.
I
The
know.
solution that I'm hearing you say, and I totally am aligned with, of course,
Yeah.
is if we just focused on appreciation, then the focus of having to push against would go away.
Yeah.
Needing to make somebody wrong would go away. Needing to fix something would go away.
Yeah. I
We would
mean,
be happier because we wouldn't be in that pushing against, resisting, having to make somebody wrong. We wouldn't be holding that energy and that vibration. We're just appreciating the earth and thanking the earth every day as part of a ritual of our lives.
yeah.
We would feel better personally,
Absolutely, absolutely. And
and
I
the
love
earth would
it.
too.
Yeah, and I love the Abraham work about that brings like that awareness, is that whatever we push against, and people kind of want to believe that, but then when they feel passionate about something, they don't know another way to do it. Like they don't know how to get themselves emotionally out of a habit of fighting. And well, we know like self appreciation is really like something that we can do to appreciate our feelings and our emotions and say, what's this really about? Can I appreciate how I feel and let that and pay attention to what really matters to me? I think a lot of people underneath all of that, if they were letting themselves just focus on what they're passionate about, they're really passionate about the planet. They really do love and they really do appreciate the planet. But where their focus is on the fight. And that's what makes things really challenging. And it's
On all dimensions.
on all dimensions, like everywhere. It makes it challenging because I honestly believe that we're meant here to birth ourselves into something greater. And the only way we can do that is through self-appreciation. But how could we how can we help the Mother Earth birth into or birth anything else if we're not just appreciating it? I just can't even I just can't even imagine how people, I mean, I can because it's just it's an opinion. We get so stuck in our emotions, but I, I just believe wholeheartedly that appreciation is a way out, is a way into, having our own sovereignty, allowing the earth to have her own sovereignty too, where if she wants to burn, I mean, it's a healing thing for a forest to burn, maybe not the entire planet, but it is a healing thing. And we do this and we rest, and the planet is doing its own work, and just appreciating it without the fear like, oh my God, we're all going to hell. The planet's going to explode and it's all going to turn to dust. This is, like what people believe. And if we can just appreciate every single um, bumblebee, every single insect. And I am not a fan of insects, but I appreciate them for what they do. Someone had said that I just heard recently someone saying that the insects are helping tone the earth. Like they're helping the resonance and the frequency of the planet. And I never would have thought of that. And so that gives me an even deeper appreciation for bugs and insects, crickets, like those little crickets that keep me up at night. They're all a part of like the greater plan. And yeah.
So to add to that, everything that exists on the planet in terms of the natural resources of the planet has
Yeah.
been designed for a purpose.
Yes.
It's appreciating the whether you know the purpose or not isn't the issue. It's
Right.
appreciating, as you were saying about insects, whether you know what their full purpose is or not.
Yeah.
They don't go away. They keep coming back, right? They don't, you're never going to get rid of ants, right? So
Right.
appreciating the ants, and even though they may irritate you in the moment, but still appreciating them
Yeah.
for their contribution is very, very important. And this is very helpful conversation to be, because I'm really getting a different perspective. And I'm a huge fan of appreciation, obviously, since I've known you for so long.
Yeah.
That it is significant that we take a stand for appreciating the earth. We take a stand for it. We make it part of our daily ritual to appreciate the bush outside the window, or
Yeah.
whatever it is that you have immediate access to, and then start expanding that appreciation. I love the Abraham's Rampages of Appreciation because it moves energy from one perspective to another perspective really fast. When you get into a rampage of appreciation, you can shift your focus in a very rapid way.
Yeah. I think you're going to like this next little piece that's coming through right now, spurred by this conversation, is that, I've been such a fan of appreciation, especially in comparison to gratitude. And this appreciating the earth this is going to be just a perfect example of like how that's so resonant. Like the word appreciation and what that really means is different than gratitude. I mean, and we're still focused on something that's outside of ourselves, right? Like we're still focused on, well, for gratitude, it's typically we're being grateful for something that's outside of us, and we are not focused on ourselves. And self-appreciation and appreciation, we're focused on the value that something brings to us. But gratitude is almost like, that idea that there's something that I don't have, that oh, I'm grateful for the earth because it gives me something that I don't have. But when you're really appreciating the earth, you're really seeing its value, you're connecting with it as in, oh, like I fruit like the planet does. I am this regenerative thing. I am this abundant force. I have resources in me that I'll never know. I can never be destroyed or created. Like you just connect in a completely different way. But when we're focused on gratitude for like the fruits of the earth, it's almost like a greedy thing. Like I'm grateful for that I can take it. It's like there's something that just feels really weird about that when I think about being grateful for the planet. Yes, I'm grateful for the planet that it has so many things that I can just take and use. Like, no, like I appreciate the planet that it just gives, whether or not I want it or not. I appreciate the planet because it is just a constantly giving force, and it doesn't even have a desire to stop. A fruit tree, I mean, if you've been around fruit trees,
Oh yeah.
they they bear fruit, they drop to the ground. I mean, it's such an abundant thing. You can't possibly use, one person can't possibly use every single lemon from the fruit tree, right? You have to share it too. That's like another thing about how the earth gives us. It gives us so in such abundance that we share. We just share out of our abundance. And yeah, that's another
Well,
little
for
rampage.
example, as you were saying that, and I was thinking about a lemon tree.
Mm-hmm.
Although on a peach tree, I could pretty much eat all the peaches because I love peaches. However, I do share, right? I've had fruit trees in many places I've
Yeah.
been. The analogy of that to the earth, like a tree is Mother Earth, is part of Mother Earth. There is incredible generosity. That's the word that came up for me when I
Yes.
heard you saying not only abundance, but generosity.
Oh yeah.
And not scarcity and limitation. Mother Earth does not function from a place of scarcity and limitation. People do,
Yes.
and people project that onto the earth.
Yes.
Oh, this creek has dried up.
Right.
Right? It's a scarcity conversation as opposed to from the appreciation place, Mother Earth, the creek has dried up. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Why don't we see what other resources are available from that creek and how it can serve us if there's not water in it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Changing our focus as opposed to judging it, as you were talking about all the way through this, judging
Yeah.
it as a problem,
Right.
judging it as an issue, taking it away from us, scarcity,
Right.
versus the abundance, the what's the word I'm looking for? The everlasting, ever giving earth. It doesn't hold back. The earth doesn't hold back. The earth keeps giving no matter what.
And it always does, and it always has, and it always will. And there are people, I think there are people on the planet that know that and naturally like replant food or replant trees. And where I live, you have to have a certain amount of trees. If you have a new house, you have to have trees. So there are just things that we do naturally without thinking that kind of regenerate this. And if you've ever been anywhere, there's a tree will actually grow way many more trees which you'll ever need too, because those little sprouts of a tree will just pop up in between your sidewalk cracks, and it happens. And for some reason we think that this is not true. And I think and it could be a perspective of just people not living in the cities or living in places where the true abundance of the planet is not their reality. It is their reality, but they're in boxes, right? They're not really in nature. They're living in boxes. And there's a lot of really good things that are happening in cities too, where people are bringing the earth inside and bringing the planet in. But sometimes it still feels like it's from a place of scarcity. But there's so many really good people that are doing amazing things out of the understanding that the earth is abundant and it gives. And if we bring the earth inside, we can breathe easier. Like, trees or plants, we bring them inside and all of a sudden we feel better. We look better. They know that patients heal better when they have plants in their rooms, and they can see outside and they can be outside. So it's amazing. And it is, yeah, so many just amazing ways that the earth just does its thing, and that we can appreciate it by sitting just and just by being in that space of appreciating. And I think the magical place for me is like, if you can be in a state of self-appreciation while you're appreciating something else or someone else, like then you get this, that's when I believe you get that torus field of energy flowing, where you are just this natural healing and not that anything needs to be healed, but like that's the energy that you're creating when you appreciate yourself. And like you and I get together and we appreciate each other, and our friendship creates this a nice aura around us that anyone who gets to be a part of that gets to have um, the benefits of like the clean air, the fresh air, the that's
Right.
generated in our space. But there, people just don't realize how much toxins they're putting into the air just by their even their negativity. And not that that's a bad thing. The earth can clean it up. It does it all the time. But if we really want to be giving, if we really want to be giving, give appreciation, give good vibes and good energy and good love.